My scars tell a story. When the police found me, I was told I was 10 days away from death. She was very caring, confident, loving. She just showed a real interest in me.
At the top of the stairs, Alex was sat with a towel.
It's strange because the whole thing was the right time at the right place, but I didn't say anything.
Out of the blue, she got his friends to go and pick her up, to bring her here, to tell us she was pregnant.
I was happy and I thought I'm there for my son and we're going to be a family.
Would you say at any point you have made it difficult for him to see his friends or family?
No. He made it very clear he didn't want to see any of his family.
I didn't want TJ to get hurt, so I was fighting to keep going because I didn't know what was going to happen if I was to leave.
We got a 999 call for a domestic disturbance between a man and a woman, called in by neighbours.
We were just shouting and arguing. And the next thing, the door knocks and there's a police car outside, and I opened the door and it was Ed standing there.
Grab a jacket and some shoes, mate, whatever you got, wallet, whatever.
So mate, are you coming back here tonight? For me, innit? And then I'm going to come back here tomorrow? Okay, so you don't really need to come to me.
What are your thoughts and feelings at the moment?
I just don't want to get hurt anymore.
Hi guys! So, yeah, it turns out that this happened. Yep. I hope that you won't be able to see any reflection in my lenses. This is the first time I'm actually recording a video wearing glasses. Yes, as it turns out, I need glasses. So guys, as I said in my community post, if you have constant headaches and they don't go away, please go and get your eyesight checked, because this is what's been happening to me for the last 2 years. I've been having constant headaches and it didn't even cross my mind to go and have a check done. And then when I went, it turns out that yes, I do need glasses and I do need to wear them all the time. So there you go. I can honestly say, since I got these glasses on Saturday, because my community post, I was wearing a different type of glasses whilst my glasses are ready for collection. So I collected them on Saturday and today is Tuesday. And from then up until now, I've been wearing them all the time, obviously apart from when I sleep, and as it turns out, I didn't have any headaches. So that's a very surprising thing, and it just goes to show that it works. So when you need glasses, you can't put it off. So yeah, my advice guys to you is that if you have constant headaches and you have blurred vision and these kind of things, then you should get an eye test done. So, with that being said, the word for today is ochelari. 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 Which is of course glasses, because I thought it's fitting since I'm wearing glasses. So I was thinking, let's see how you say glasses in Romanian. It's got pom-poms in, look! It's so cool. For today's video, I want to give my massive thanks to T-Bag, one of my viewers who suggested in one of her comments on my Johnny Depp videos to watch the story of Alex Skeel from the UK. And this is exactly what I did. And honestly, guys, it really breaks my heart to say that this should never have happened. Alex Skeel went from a happy and healthy young man to being just a few days away from death. And I honestly think that he should be an inspiration to all of us, thanks to his bravery to tell his story and support other victims through his charity. And even when he was too terrified to come forward, a police officer knew exactly what was happening and rescued him. So guys, I have to say that today's story is absolutely heartbreaking, and it only shows us that intimate partner violence has no gender. A victim of DV has no gender. It teaches us that we need to stop stereotyping victims of partner violence. Men can be victims too, and this case highlights just that. And since we are still going around with videos on YouTube around Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, I will say this, that this case is Johnny Depp 2.0, but much worse. So before we get started, just a quick disclaimer. I don't mean any disrespect to anyone I talk about in the video. This is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and all the information I have is already found in the public domain. I will also give my own opinions and views, and of course, I have to say it, I am not a professional by any means, so this is just simply my opinions, and I'm telling you the things that I have found online regarding this case. Also, a trigger warning: there will be some horrific instances of DV and injuries to a young man. So if this is something that you get triggered by, then by all means you need to stop watching the video, and I will see you in the next one. Alex Gerald Skeel was born prematurely on 17th of August 1995 along with his twin brother. Weighing just 2 pounds, he was placed in intensive care and he underwent multiple operations as a baby. The twins were born in Luton, Bedfordshire in England. They lived in Stewartby, north of Bedford. Both children were child models for supermarket chain Asda. Alex was a football-mad 16-year-old when he first met Jordan at a college concert in June 2012, and very soon he just fell head over heels in love with her. She seemed confident, loving, very caring, and she was an aspiring teacher. She showed a real interest in Alex, so they just, hit it off. Even though friends described Jordan as delightful and Alex as quite smitten with her, Alex's mother, Jed, says it wasn't long before her behavior sadly took a dark turn. For the first 5 months, Jordan and Alex seemed to have a great relationship, and according to Alex, she really paid attention to him and everything was just fine. But guys, the longer that they were together and as the relationship grew, the mind games started playing. Jordan would often say that she didn't like the color grey, so Alex shouldn't wear that color. She would say that she didn't like his hair styled a certain way and he should wear it in a different way. Or she would even say that she doesn't like the shoes Alex was wearing. But for him, this was not a negative. He didn't really see it as a negative thing. He felt more like he's not going to wear these things because, they just don't impress her. I mean, you can understand, you are a 16-year-old and you are trying to impress your girlfriend and you see that she doesn't like this kind of thing, so you try not to wear them anymore because you just want to impress her. You know, guys, how the beginning of, each relationship is, when both of them in the relationship are trying to impress each other, and so they will be wearing or saying or doing things that the other likes because obviously they are just at the beginning of their relationship. And I think that a lot of us can relate with the way that Alex was seeing his relationship with Jordan. And although Jordan's behavior seemed erratic, Alex brushed off his family and friends' growing concerns, admitting that he was a bit clouded by what happened because at the time he really loved Jordan. Jordan began showing very jealous behavior, which caused the couple to eventually separate. But Jordan came back with a bombshell revelation. She contacted Alex telling him that she was pregnant after they had separated. Alex said that he would support the child. He told her he would support the child, but he couldn't be with her. He didn't hear back from Jordan for 1 year after that. Baby Thomas, TJ, was born in May 2014. In the same year of 2014, Alex's mom got a text from Jordan asking if she was interested in meeting her grandson TJ. Of course that she would be interested in meeting him, and then soon after that, Jordan and Alex got back together and Jordan moved into the Skeel family home. Mind games began again almost immediately, said his mom. Jordan was academically superior to Alex and she would call him stupid, dumb and simple on a regular basis. In one instance, Alex's family treated the couple to the theatre in London on one evening, after which Jordan just disappeared from the hotel in the middle of the night. She never said where she was going, sparking a frantic, panicked search because everybody believed that something happened to her. But all of a sudden, she just reappeared in the lobby 1 hour later, laughing like it was all some kind of a big joke. Another time, she completely ruined Alex's 18th birthday party by screaming abuse at a female family friend who she had grown jealous of. The mental and emotional abuse picked up during the 2 years they lived in Alex's home until one day Jordan decided to pack up TJ's belongings, their son, and told Alex she and TJ were moving out and he could just move along or he would not see his son anymore. This is where the blackmail starts. So either Alex moves in with TJ and her, or he won't get to see his kid anymore, right? Alex's best friend said at one point that Jordan got so much into Alex's head that he reached a point where no one could do anything to stop it. Very soon, Jordan forced Alex to choose between her and his family, which resulted in the couple moving into their own home in Stewart by Bedfordshire in July 2016. Alex was just 19 years old at the time. He didn't speak to his parents for 2 years, even when baby Iris, their second child, was born in May 2017. When their daughter was born, Alex was hopeful, thinking that the new baby would divert attention and relieve him of a... He said, quote, "We had 2 kids together now, and I was just hoping something would change. My fear was always if I left, she would turn her abuse on them. So I stayed." End of quote. And how many of us, victims of DV, can relate to this? The peace Alex was hoping for after baby Iris was born lasted only 3 days. In a rage, one day, Jordan came after Alex with a serrated bread knife. She wanted to cut him on the side of his face, and he raised his arm to protect himself, getting slashed in the wrist and hand. The cuts were really deep and there was blood just about everywhere in the house. Things spiraled out of control when Jordan forced Alex to change his phone number, and she threw away his PlayStation to further cut him off from his friends and loved ones. She then closed down Alex's Facebook account and then set up another Facebook account in his name where she would send abusive messages to his friends in an attempt to isolate him even further. On top of that, she also constructed this perfect image that you usually see on social media, right? Full of perfect photos of the perfect couple, the perfect family, going on vacations, having fun, all the photos which just seem to be ideal for social media, but never once one which showed the life behind closed doors, with bruises, cuts, slashes, burns, bumps, hammers, screwdrivers, literally Alex's life being sucked out of him. Years later, when police questioned Jordan, she, of course, blamed all of this on Alex, saying that he made it very clear he never wanted to see his family, telling her that he hated his family and didn't really want to talk to them, didn't want anything to do with them. Over time, Jordan became so controlling that she took Alex's wallet away, she forced him to quit the job that he really loved, and instead she forced him to go with her to classes that she was attending at the University of Hertfordshire, where she could keep a watchful eye on him. Alex had an amazing bond with his grandfather, and Jordan knew that, and she used it against him. One day, out of the blue, she just tells Alex that his granddad passed away. She said that her mom received a text message to let her know that he passed away, and Jordan even welcomed Alex to go and talk to her mom if he really wanted to do that. Obviously, that Alex believed her, and of course, he was just heartbroken. He was so sad that he cried for hours that day. And hours later, Jordan just goes to him and asks, Why is he even upset? And he of course told her because his granddad just passed away. But she then turned around and said, get this guys, she said that she was only joking that his grandfather didn't die. By that point, Alex, he just didn't even know what the truth was anymore. Either that his grandfather died, because if he didn't, then why would she make such a horrible joke? Or that he just didn't die and she's just being evil. But by that point, Alex was just so confused. He just couldn't understand and he just couldn't believe anything anymore. He at the back of his mind was, if his grandfather didn't die, then why would Jordan say, well, you are more than welcome to speak with my mom about it, right? And honestly, guys, Alex, he was so confused that he didn't believe that his grandmother didn't pass away until after everything that happened, and he physically saw his grandfather, and so he could confirm that it was a lie Jordan was saying. All these mind games were designed to fully control and condition Alex. And I have to say, guys, that these are classic signs of intimate partner violence. According to Alex, things got so bad that his girlfriend would attack or assault him every single day. And on one occasion, she even made him swallow an entire pack of sleeping pills. During one attack, Jordan severed the tendons in his right hand with a bread knife. On another occasion, she attacked him with a broken hairbrush, breaking his tooth in the process. Alex, by this point, had no money, he didn't drive, he couldn't go to a dentist for help with his tooth, so in the end, he just ripped the tooth out himself. For him, being struck with screwdrivers, hammers, and knives became part of his everyday life. He would be asleep, and Jordan would just smack him in the head. He would of course wake up, look in the mirror, and he could see himself bleeding. He wasn't eating properly because she wouldn't let him eat. She would always tell him what a horrible cook he is, that he wasn't good for anything, that he was dumb. She forced him to sleep on the floor instead of the bed. He would wear the same clothes every day, sleep in the same clothes, and he would use extra clothing of his as his duvet and pillow. At one point, Alex felt how his body was starting to shut down. He didn't want his son to get hurt, so he was fighting to keep going because he had no idea what would happen if he left. By this point, Jordan had a weapon of choice, and that was a kettle full of boiling water. She would leave Alex screaming in pain as she poured boiling water on his arms and back. The skin would hang off his body, and he begged her to take him and seek medical attention, but she didn't do that. He then even asked her to at least let him buy cream from the pharmacy to relieve some of the pain, but she wouldn't have that. After pouring boiling water on him, Alex would ask her if he can at least go and have a shower so he can cool down from the burns, but after spending a few minutes in the shower where he would be screaming in pain, she would just go in the shower and she would just tell him to get out of the shower, so she didn't even let him relieve some of the pain that he was feeling from the burns. Jordan was so controlling and obsessed with inflicting pain on Alex that she would wait up all night long with a kettle of boiling water, and if the water went cold, she would just wait and reboil it. Can you just imagine what a twisted mind she must have had and how extremely brutal she must have been to just stay awake a whole night just to make sure that the water doesn't get cold? And if it did, she was awake right there and she would just switch the kettle on and reboil the water to make sure it's hot. And she would just take that boiling water and pour it over Alex as he was asleep, just to get that reaction out of him. Just imagine, guys, sleeping and someone pouring boiling water over you. Alex lost almost 4 stone after being deprived food, but he stayed with Jordan because he was in love with her and he feared losing custody of his children. And it's true, guys, really, it's really true. When it comes to children, dads are usually the ones who lose the custody, no matter what, and it's almost impossible to even prove that they are the ones being abused. Even if a male victim of DV tells the local authorities such as social services that they are a victim, they don't believe him. They just don't do anything. It's so unfair. You have so many moms who abuse their kids, and dads try to get them out of the situation and they just can't do it because the system is designed to side with the woman. And Alex knew that. And I'm not even surprised that he was scared to leave. He would have lost custody of his kids, definitely. It would just be enough to say, it would just have been enough for Jordan to say that she was the one being abused and she acted in self-defense, and voila, guys, everybody would believe Jordan, right? And I think, and I truly believe that if Alex would have taken the route to leave her and fight for custody of his kids, he would definitely have lost the children. He would have. I'm quite sure of it. A few days after one attack from Jordan, she did it again. She slashed Alex's hand with a bread knife, and that's when police were called. And this was not the first time. Alex's neighbors, really worried of hearing Alex screaming, "Leave me alone, stop hurting me," they decided to call the police. Sergeant Ed Finn of Bedfordshire Police was on the scene, and he remembers how, despite there being just about everywhere, the couple both insisted that Alex's numerous injuries were self-inflicted. Officers took Alex to hospital to fix his badly burnt arm. The surgeon at the hospital could sense that something was just not right, something was wrong, and he tried to make Alex stay in the hospital, but then Jordan just came in and she just walked Alex out of the hospital. Even though for Alex it was the right time and place to say something, he couldn't. So he didn't. He kept saying that he did it to himself because he was just terrified of what Jordan was going to do. But a few days later, when Sergeant Finn got another call from the couple's address, he seized the opportunity to take action. He recalls, quote, "As soon as I saw him in the light of day, the state of him in terms of countless injuries all over his body, the fact that he had these horrible dirty clothes on, he was pale, thin. I thought he was being abused." End of quote. Jordan seemed to be very slight, well-spoken, very polite, to all intents and purposes, a very nice lady, the sergeant recalls. When Sergeant Finn went back to the house, he was wearing body cam footage. And here is the clip of just how he found Alex. And I really hope that the clip is not going to give me any copyright issues, because in my Jeffrey Epstein video, I still didn't manage to fight the copyright claim. So I am really hoping I'm going to be able to show you the clip. So here it goes, let me try.
She let us in and we went upstairs, and at the top of the stairs, Alex was sat with a towel wrapped around his arm and just blood everywhere. He'd used that, and she was explaining that Alex suffered from a medical condition, but then I sort of noticed other injuries on Alex. And again, when we questioned it, they were both quite sort of calm and rational and explained that, yeah, you know, Alex has this long-standing history of... It didn't appear that there'd been any incident at all between them. It's certainly not how it came across.
Body cam footage and police tapes from the day Jordan was arrested show the 21-year-old by then Alex looking really frail, covered with bruises and dressed in stained clothes, unable to even make eye contact. Despite his protests, Sergeant Finn was able to persuade Alex to tell him what was really going on, finally. He took Alex alone to his police car, sat him down in the car and asked Alex to say what happened. But Alex wouldn't budge, and he kept saying that he did this to himself. But Sergeant Finn, at this point, he knew that this just wasn't true. He knew that Alex was being abused. So Sergeant Finn turns off his body cam footage and he tells Alex that it's just the two of them, just the officer and Alex, and he can just tell him everything. When Alex felt that no one else could be watching or listening because the sergeant turned the camera off in front of him, Alex finally told him everything. Shockingly, even though Alex was so badly injured by Jordan, he was seen on the footage giving Jordan a hug and a kiss goodbye before he was taken to hospital. Which I think he did it because he felt guilty knowing that he told the police officer everything. I don't want to take away from Alex's story in any way, but I just remember from my own experience, I distinctly remember doing a very similar thing when I planned how I was going to escape one of my DV relationships. In the morning before I left, I told him how much I loved him, and oh my god, you guys, I even kissed his feet. Can you just believe that? In hindsight, thinking about it, I would just never do it again. Honestly, oh my god, even kissing his feet, that's just, I don't know what I was thinking, but it just goes to show when you are in that kind of a relationship how difficult it is to get out of it and how difficult it is for you not to feel guilty for doing it. Going back to Alex and Jordan, finally, Jordan was arrested on suspicion of assault and grievously bodily harm, GBH. Alex was taken to Bedford Hospital's acute clinical unit and then to Adam Brooks Hospital. When they managed to get Alex to the hospital, doctors said that he was just 10 days away from death in his physical state, by which point his burns became infected. In his interview, when asked by an officer how he feels about moving forward, Alex replied, quote, "I just don't want to get hurt anymore," end of quote. Alex returned home to his family where he was reunited with his children, and in September 2017, Jordan was charged with 17 counts, including wounding with intent, causing grievous bodily harm with intent, and controlling or coercive behavior in an intimate relationship. On 13th of April 2018, Jordan was given two 7-year sentences for wounding with intent and grievous bodily harm to be served simultaneously at Luton Crown Court. She was also handed a consecutive sentence of 6 months for controlling or coercive behavior. In April 2018, Jordan Worth became the first female in the UK to be convicted of controlling or coercive behavior. Yes, guys, yes, we need to talk about the sentence, because from my point of view, that was way too low for her, and she was eligible for parole on 12th of October of 2021, just a couple of months ago. Now, I have no idea if she's out because I couldn't really find any details, but I mean, come on. Alex was 10 days away from literal death. She would have killed him, guys. She would have killed him if those neighbors wouldn't call the police when they did, and if Sergeant Finn wouldn't recognize that Alex was being. After Jordan was convicted, her case was sent to the Court of Appeal because, of course, the sentence was too low, right? But guess what? 1, 2, 3. You guessed it. Yeah? The Court of Appeal decided not to increase Luton Crown Court's 7.5-year sentence. The Solicitor General argued there was higher culpability on her part because her partner, Alex Skeel, was vulnerable. But Lord Justice Holroyd said while the sentence was undoubtedly very lenient, it was not unduly so. Not unduly so. Oh really? Not unduly so. Not unduly so. So probably she should have left him 1 hour away from death, right? That would probably make it duly so. Go figure. In passing judgment, the judge acknowledged that it had been a difficult sentencing process for the judge at Luton. Jordan Worth, whose last address was in Norfolk, declined to appear at the High Court hearing, but her solicitor said that she felt remorse. Oh, I'm sure she did. I'm sure that she felt remorse, because when she was interviewed by the police and when she described the instances when she attacked Alex with a hairbrush and the bread, she behaved, honestly guys, she behaved as if he's a man, you know, he'll be fine, he can just take it, it's something normal. As for the bread knife, she said that she attacked Alex because he didn't want to get back in the house. Really? Do normal people attack others with a knife because they don't want to get back inside? That's just insane. That's insane.
Alex, you've seen.
How did he see you?
How did you see him yesterday? And he's got some pretty sore injuries.
Oh, what, his arms and stuff?
Oh, in general.
I think he's just upset because we've got everything we ever wanted, but we're not happy. So it's just. Where's Alex now? I just want to sort everything out.
Start again.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're both very young, aren't you? How old are you?
22 and Alex 21.
Okay. So what you were doing?
I was holding the knife.
Okay.
I just wanted him to come in the house.
Tell me about the knife.
Oh, it was a big one, one from the kitchen. I think it was a bread. I'm not actually sure.
So how far do you think the knife went in, Jordan?
I don't think it went that far, but it did. There was a lot.
Do you love Alex?
I do.
Obviously, things have got particularly out of hand in your relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. Alex has spent some time with us today. All right. And he's quite upset about what's happened. And he's told us some quite shocking things that have been going on. Alex seems relieved that he's now going home back to his family. He feels he's been isolated from.
He always said he just didn't want to see his family.
He states that majority of the contact with his family has been stopped because you've stopped him having contact.
No, definitely not.
Would you say at any point you have made it difficult for him to see his friends or family?
No, never. He made it very clear he didn't want to see any of his family. He said he hated his family, he doesn't want to talk to his family, he wants nothing to do with his family.
He says that you go at him about this period of time that you had a break in your relationship, okay?
It always goes back to that, yeah.
And that you question him relentlessly, and that you go on about it a lot, and that if he doesn't answer you, you then become violent towards him. Alex has said that since mainly that you've been living at this address,
Yeah.
he has almost been attacked or physically put through some sort of assault pretty much every day since about September. He states if you missed a night of hitting him, you would then make up for it the next night.
I don't know why he would say that. Well, whenever we've had an argument in the car, I'll grab just my hairbrushes on the side and I'll just sort of hit him either wherever I can. There was a hammer, but I never hurt him.
I wasn't eating cooking. She didn't let me.
Sometimes he said, "Oh, can we cook pasta?" And I'll say no.
From what I could find, the court issued an indefinite restraining order in Jordan's case. And as far as I know, from what I could find, this is very difficult to fight unless Alex would agree to file for a removal of the restraining order. So at the very least, we can only hope that she can't get close to Alex anymore, and let's hope that she won't try to get her kids back. I mean, I don't even know, guys, by this point, I don't even know if I am to trust the justice system, but honestly, for some reason, when I did my research on this case and when I got everything ready for this video, I couldn't help but get the feeling that if she would try and get her kids back and custody of her kids, I don't know why, but I feel like she will get to see her kids again. Even if she doesn't get full custody, I feel like there will be some kind of an arrangement. Fingers crossed that this is not going to happen, but my gut feeling is telling me that something is going to happen and somehow she will be able to see her kids, either being that there will be arranged supervised visits to try and you know, bring her back together with the children, which in her case I don't think she deserves that, and I'm truly and honestly hoping that's not going to happen. But like I said just now, I have a feeling that it's going to happen. Alex was alarmingly thin and in poor health by the time of Jordan's arrest. After his untreated burns became infected and he developed hydrocephalus, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this right, although I don't think I am, which is a buildup of fluid on the brain caused by major head trauma. Jordan Worth was an aspiring teacher and she had a degree from the University of Hertfordshire, and she came from a loving and supportive family, and she even raised money for children in Africa. I mean, thank God that she didn't get to be a teacher. Can you just imagine a person who inflicts horrific abuse on another person teaches your child at school? Oh my God, I don't even want to get that in my head, honestly. Jordan Worth pleaded guilty to controlling or coercive behavior in an intimate relationship, wounding with intent and causing grievous bodily harm with intent between April 2016 to June 2017. When Jordan was arrested, their daughter Iris was only 4 weeks old and TJ was around 3 years old. The day that Jordan went to prison, Alex felt free. It was just a massive relief for him. He said, and I quote, "I can actually look over my shoulder now for the first time in 5 years without worrying. Now that I'm free from the relationship, I'm beginning to understand abuse better. And I hope I can help others understand it too." End of quote.
Well, it started off, I was lying in the bed and she would wait till I was asleep and just hit me on the head with a bottle. I managed to get rid of the bottle without her knowing. And then she moved on to a hammer. She started hitting me with hammers everywhere, like my shins, arms, head. And then I managed to throw that hammer in the field opposite. So I thought, oh, it's over. But then everything she could find to hit me with, from bits of wood, yeah.
She made you sleep on the floor?
Yeah, I slept on the floor for about 8 months with... I had to wear my own clothes that I wore in the day. I probably wore the same clothes for about 4 days because I couldn't take it off, and I was putting clothes on top of me as my quilt, and I had clothes as a pillow.
During a media interview, when Alex was asked what would have happened to him if police hadn't come, he said, and I quote again, "I would have died. I've worked it out. 1,000 times I was hit on the head and I never had a fracture on my skull. But what if one of them gave me brain damage or a stab on my wrist was a little bit to the left and hit the main artery? Anything could have happened, but I wouldn't be here now if it weren't for them." End of quote. And I think by this point he meant if it wasn't for the neighbors who called the police, and also for Sergeant Finn, who persuaded him to really tell them what happened. Alex now coaches a football team sponsored by domestic abuse charity and talks to professionals to help them spot the signs of abuse. Alex is also an ambassador for the Mannequin Initiative charity. The Mannequin Initiative charity is a domestic violence charity based in the UK and is at the forefront of providing support for male victims of domestic abuse and violence. Since becoming a charity in 2001, it has provided helpline, training and support for primarily police and local authorities, and campaigns to ensure that equal recognition is given to male victims in the same way that recognition is given to female victims of DV. It's one of only a few charities in the UK to even help male victims. According to Mark Brooks of the Mankind Initiative, domestic violence is far more common than we think, and 1 man in every 6 will suffer domestic abuse. Men also make up 1 in 3 of all victims. As for what can be done to help victims in domestic abuse situations, Mark Brooks said friends and family need to be aware of red flags, such as complete isolation of their loved one, changes in behavior, and changes in physical demeanor. Under laws which came into force in 2015, anyone who inflicts psychological cruelty on their other halves can be prosecuted, even if there is no direct physical harm. For the first time ever, domestic abusers who stop short of lashing out at their victims can now be targeted with a new offense where there is evidence of coercive and controlling behavior. This could include preventing a partner from seeing family or friends, keeping them short of money, controlling their social media accounts, spying on their communications, or determining aspects of their everyday life, such as when they eat, when they sleep, or even when they go to the toilet. And it's unbelievable to think that even a basic need such as going to the toilet would be inflicted upon a victim. It's just unbelievable. Going to the toilet is a basic need, and for someone to stop you from going to the toilet, that just blows my mind, honestly, guys. Research has shown that 30% of women, about 5 million, and 16% of men, or 2.5 million, experience domestic during their lives. If you can see here, it's not even such a big difference between men and women as victims of DV. Women, they are 5 million, right? And men, they are 2.5 million. But then again, we are talking about men who came forward, probably not even all of the men who are going through this, because as we know, because of the stigma and the stereotyping, a lot of male victims of DV don't even come forward. Mainly because of this reason. 1, they are not believed, and 2, because of the stigma and the stereotyping. Because usually, I think that usually if a man would go to the police or whoever to say, I am being abused by my girlfriend, the first reaction they would get would be to laugh in their face. Whereas if a woman would go to the police or to whoever else, I am being abused by my husband or by my boyfriend, the woman is instantly believed. And I think that we need to stop doing that. We need to stop doing that, because it all starts with us, and it all starts with how we perceive a victim of DV to be, or to behave, or to look like. So as for these figures that I just mentioned, the 30% of women, about 5 million, and 16% of men, around 2.5 million, experience domestic abuse during their lives. The figures are from the UK, I believe. And while there are some alarming statistics regarding male victims of domestic abuse, we need to remember, and I'm going to say this again, this is severely underreported, with only 10% of cases being brought to light. In the US, for example, the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence reports these statistics. 1 in 4 men have been physically abused, including slapped, pushed, shoved by an intimate partner. 1 in 7 men have been severely physically abused, hit with a fist, hard object, kicked, choked, or burned by an intimate partner. 48.8% of men have experienced at least one psychologically aggressive behavior, such as having their whereabouts tracked, being insulted, humiliated, and ridiculed by an intimate partner. 4 in 10 men have been coercively controlled, isolated from friends and family, blackmailed, deprived, threatened, and economically abused by an intimate partner. And these figures, it just goes to show that they are so very similar to female victims of DV, but like I said, the main difference is that most of these men, they don't come forward, they don't report. Alex Skeel received full custody of his children, TJ and Iris, and as far as I know, he lives at home with his family and his children. Alex Skeel's story of being a victim of domestic abuse is truly horrifying and heartbreaking. Speaking of his children, he is reported in the Times as saying, quote, "I stayed because I know what family courts are like. If I were to leave, how would I know I'd ever get to see them again?" End of quote. And this resonates, it really does resonate with how the situation with the court system and the social services and the local authorities like. Alex Skeel helped to expose the lack of support for men who are far less likely to be believed. Fear of loss of access to their much-loved children is one of the greatest reasons why men don't even report. The family courts just don't treat them in the same way. The Children and Family Court Advisory and Support Service, CAFCAS, have domestic perpetrator programs for men, but not even one for women, even though the Ministry of Justice says that 37% of victims are men. And again, I'm saying it, that's indeed very, very true. And quite honestly, usually men are treated guilty until proven innocent, especially in family court. And usually the woman is believed no matter what. It's still the same stigma and stereotyping, and let's just believe all women. Alex Skeel brings awareness to male victims of DV. He teaches young men how to spot the signs of to save lives basically, and he is also an ambassador for Mankind Initiative, one of the very few charities dedicated to male victims of DV. Alex Skeel, in my opinion, is a role model, and Alex Skeel is a male survivor of domestic violence. Men too can be victims, and they are. I would like to further raise awareness, and so I kindly ask you, if you are a male victim of DV and you would like your story to be heard, then please let me know in the comments below, and I will try my best to get your story out there. Or if you know someone who is a male victim of domestic violence, please guys, reach out to them and make sure that you support them in any way you can, so they can live. If you think that something is not quite right with your relationship, beware of the red flags, beware of the signs of abuse, beware of the following. Jealousy and possessiveness. An abuser will want to be with the victim constantly. They accuse the victims of cheating all the time. They follow them around and constantly calls them. They even ask friends to check up on the victim. The second red flag, controlling behavior. The constant questions: who do you spend your time with? What you did? What you wore? What did you say? Where did you go? The abuser will make you ask permission to do certain things. Acts like you don't have the ability to make any good decisions. They will hide the controlling behavior by pretending to be concerned for your safety. Number 3, the third red flag, quick involvement. Let's say, for example, 6 months or less, you are together for 6 months or less before living together or before even being engaged. They will claim that this was love at first sight. They will pressure you to commit. They say that you are the only one who can make them feel this way. Now guys, I'm going through all the red flags that an abuser, I'm going through all the red flags that you would be able to spot and to tell that you are in a relationship. However, I need to point out here, because I have a feeling that people will jump on me in the comments by saying that, oh, not all of these signs are signs of abuse. No, of course, they are not. On their own, they are not. Most of them are not on their own. However, when you add them together, you can see that all of these are red flags, and all of these are red flags for you being abusive relationship. It doesn't have to be all of them. It also doesn't need to be only one of them. However, it gives you an example of how an abuser would behave in a relationship. Let's move on to the next red flag, which is number 4, unrealistic expectations. An abuser will compliment you in a way that makes you seem like you are superhuman. They would be over flattering. They expect you to be perfect, and they would even say, I am all that you need and you are all that I need. The 5th red flag. Number 5, isolation. The abuser will put down everyone that you know. Friends are either stupid, slutty, or you are cheating with them. Family is just too controlling, doesn't really love you, or you are too dependent on your family. And then they will refuse to let you use your car or talk on the phone. They would make it difficult for you to go to work or to go to school. And they will try to cut off all your resources. Number 6, blames others for problems. If they have any problems at school or at work, it will always be someone else's fault. If anything goes wrong in the relationship, it's all your fault. They will never take any responsibility for their own behavior. Flag number 7, blames others for feelings. They will try to make you feel responsible for how they feel. You're making me mad. You're hurting me by not doing what I ask. I can't help being angry. They won't take any responsibility for their own feelings, and they will blame you for the way that they feel. You made me hit you because you said that. You made me punch you because you did that. All these kind of things. Number 8, hypersensitivity. They will get easily insulted, seeing everything as a personal attack. They will look for fights. They will blow things out of proportion. And they will be unpredictable. They are unpredictable. You can never tell what will upset them. And I will add one from my own experience. When they try to find a fight with you, to pick on a fight with you, even if they are not angry at the beginning, they will work themselves up so much and so hard until they reach the boiling point where they explode, and then they justify this by abusing you. Number 9, disrespectful or cruel to others. Abusers would punish animal, or they would even show children cruelty. They are insensitive to pain and suffering. They would tease children until they end up crying. They don't treat others with respect, and they are quite dismissive of other people's feelings. Number 10, playful use of force during sensual activity. Show little concern over whether you want sex or not, and they would use sulking or anger to manipulate you into compliance, even making sensual or degrading jokes about you. Number 11, the 11th red flag, verbal abuse of any kind, name calling, calling you certain things, demeaning you, all these kind of things, they are considered red flags, and a red flag for verbal. Number 12, past battering. You may hear the person was abusive to someone else. They will usually say it's a lie, or their ex was just crazy, or just it wasn't that bad, they are just exaggerating, things like that. The next red flag, threats of any kind. They will try to threaten you with like, for example, if you report me to the police, you won't get to see your kids again. If you tell your mom what happened, you'll never be able to speak to your mom again, these kind of things. The next red flag, breaking or striking objects. Abusers will usually break loved possessions. They would beat on a table with their fists. They will throw objects around. So this is basically, I think, a kind of a form of intimidation and inducing fear. The next red flag, any force during an argument. They will push, shove, or physically restrain you from leaving the room. So, for example, you want to escape further abuse, you are trying to leave, they won't have that. They will try to keep you in that situation because that's how they control you, and that's how they take out the anger by physically abusing you. So, of course, they won't want to let you out of the situation. The next red flag, they don't respect your property or your privacy. We can say that they damage your property. Let's say that you have a photo of you and your friends in high school which you really loved, and you keep it framed nicely on the table or whatever, and they know that you love that picture, that photo, and they will just take it and they will damage it, they will destroy it, they will either bash it or rip it or whatever. Even privacy, they might say, you are going to the bathroom, you are using the toilet, they won't let you close the door whilst you are on the toilet. They won't let you be on your phone on your own. They won't let you have a shower without the door being open. These kind of things that just seem weird. And I'm telling you guys, if you have the feeling that something is just not quite right and this shouldn't be, and they shouldn't be behaving this way, then you should trust your gut feeling, because usually your gut feeling is right. If something doesn't seem quite right, it usually is not right. And these are warning signs that you live with an abuser. If this is you, please find help. And as hard as it might sound, just leave and never believe they will change, because they never do. All victims of DV will tell you that abusers never change. That's just a mind game that they play. When they ask for forgiveness, they will change, they will stop doing this, they will stop doing that. It's just to keep you even more in the relationship, just to have even more control over it, because they never change. They don't. If you want to hear Alex's story from himself, and you can go ahead and watch by my girlfriend documentary on BBC. Sadly, I'm not able to show you the documentary or parts of it in this YouTube video for obvious reasons, copyright issues, and it seems that BBC is not budging even when you say it's fair use. So sadly, I'm not able to do that. And with this, I'm going to end today's video. Thank you so much for staying with me through all of this heartbreaking and horrific story of abuse. And again, I'm going to say, if you or someone you know suspect that are a victim of DV, please encourage them to come forward and please say something, because that might just save their lives. You see, with Alex's case, if it wasn't for the neighbors who called the police, we would probably have a different kind of case to cover in today's video. Thank you guys so much. Take care, stay safe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!